Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Dude Real Estate Show. I'm here with Billy again. Billy, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Another week. Here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. It's sunny outside. I like that. So today we're going to be talking about how to find a realtor. Um, you know, I was a realtor for 6 years, and um, honestly, I think the realtor long term, maybe over the next 10 years or so, is kind of going to go the way of the dinosaur. Like, I don't think realtors are going to have as much value as they did in the past. And in fact, when I started, even then, it's kind of like uh, people look at realtors as like, okay, if I'm going to buy or sell a house, I need a realtor, which is still true for the most part. You can still sell your house for sale by owner. And there are some other things we'll get into a little bit later, but they're kind of the gatekeepers. But with the age of the internet's kind of the gatekeeper. Like, we can get so much more info. It used to be the case that you'd have to go to your realtor's office to see what the listings were. Like, there was no MLS online, there was no Zillow, there was no realtor.com. So you couldn't go online to like look at what's available. So you'd have to go and they'd have like a binder full of the latest properties that are on the MLS, and you have to look through those. And you're like, okay, that one looks nice. Let's go look at that one. Let's schedule a showing for this one over here. And so that's where realtors really had a lot more value, because they were the gatekeepers. And in a sense, they still are, because you can't really go see a property most of the time without them, because they have the lockbox code, and they're going to show you the property. They're kind of the managers in that space. You can't just go walk into some stranger's house and look at it. But realtors still play a part when it does come to buying and selling. So if you're looking to buy a house, if you're looking to invest in real estate, whether you're buying or selling, you're probably going to need a realtor at some stage. Now, luckily for me, that's how I got into the game. I started as a realtor for the first couple of years. Then I got the itch to invest, and I was able to look at properties whenever I wanted to. I could go schedule a showing for myself, go take a look. Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? So it was really easy. So if you don't have your license, you're gonna need to use a realtor to go either look at houses or to sell a house. Like, let's just say you want to flip houses and you're not licensed. You're probably not going to want to sell it for sale by owner. You want to get the broadest market exposure you can get. So you're probably going to go with a realtor. So how do you find a good realtor, especially one that will help you as an investor? I think that's the big thing that you see on the forums a lot, is how do I find an investor friendly agent? And what does that mean? In the grand scheme of things, I don't think that investor friendly is necessarily the terms you want to think of it in. What you want is just a really good agent. And what you want from an agent are a couple things in my mind. I think number one is you want an agent that does this full time. Nothing against the part-timers out there. That's how I got started too. But I think you want someone that's doing it full time. That means they're immersed in the market. They know the market backwards and forwards. And the big thing is, because there are so many time constraints in real estate, especially in a hot market, that you need to go see that property as soon as possible, or you need to submit a contract as soon as possible, or you need this information on the rental income as soon as possible. And if someone's working in the space part-time, that's not going to help you a whole lot. So you want someone that's both full-time, that knows the market, that probably has a little more experience. If someone is full-time, they probably do have a couple years under their belt, but that's certainly one of the questions I would ask. How long have you been doing real estate? How long have you been selling properties in the area? What is your specialty? What's your niche? How many transactions have you done? What have been some of your biggest problems in the local market? Things like that. So you do want to vet your agents pretty hard. And I would go out, I would interview several agents and ask them these questions, get a feel for them. It's also a partnership. You're going to be working with them pretty closely over at least a short period of time if it's just one transaction, but potentially if it's a good fit, then you'd work with them over many months or years to do many transactions. You want to get a feel if they're a good fit for your personality, the way you like to do things. So so you want to get access to information and properties quickly. So can your realtor do that? Um, Sometimes some of the biggest realtors, like even though they might have like great reviews and they've done tons of transactions, they know their area well, they're in such high demand that they can't give you the time
Yeah.
that you need. Um, Now they may have a team, they might have agents underneath them that help out. That might be okay, but how experienced are those agents? And then you don't want to go with the bottom of the heap that like, hey, I have all the time in the world, but I have no idea what I'm doing, or maybe I'm not good with people, or I kind of stink at contracts, or whatever it is. So I think you want to go, if you're kind of looking, let's just say you're looking at a list of reviews on say Zillow or Google reviews or something like that. You probably don't want to go with the top agent. You probably don't want to go with even the second agent. You probably want to go with more like 3, 4, 5, somewhere between like 3 and 10, depending on the size of your market.
Mhm.
Because they're obviously good. They have, of course, read their reviews, see what the reviews are saying about them, how other people have had good or bad experiences with them. And you're probably going to have more success getting a hold of someone that's
Mhm.
going to be in that, say, number 5 spot.
Right.
They're still hungry. They're not at the top, but they probably want to be at the top,
Yeah.
and they want to service as many clients as they can well. And, just the busier someone is, the less time they're going to be able to dedicate to you. Um, so, so it can be kind of tough, and then I would just ask other questions, like, what are you interested in? So for you as an investor,
Mhm.
what kind of questions can you think of off the top of your head that would be of great concern to you going into, let's just say you're looking at a newer market or something like that, and you're like, hey, these are my criteria. What kind of questions do you think you would be asking of a realtor? What would you like to see?
Yeah. I think the big thing for me, and you're talking about a lot, is the time that they can commit to you. Because real estate investors typically, in my mind, I picture need more attention than a standard home buyer, because we're looking for very specific criteria in a house, as well as the rental rates and the neighborhoods. Like it's less of a feel, it's more of a analytical choice, when it comes to buying a property. So I think for me, the first thing I want to know is, like, what is the actual expectations? Are you going to be able to pull me rental comps within a day? Like, are you going to be able to pull comps for the property in the area within a day? Like, I need that quick turnaround time, because, like you said, the market's hot right now. So I would want to know that you're going to be on it as much as you can, and if you can't, you're going to let me know. So probably the biggest thing is that communication.
Yeah, I think it's the communication and the speed. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of people when we talk about investor friendly agents, they're like, well, I want someone who's also an investor, and I want them to be able to run the numbers and all this stuff. I think that's totally the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah.
As an investor, the onus is on you to know
Yeah.
whether something's a good deal. Don't rely on your agent.
Hmm.
They might know, they might not know if something's a good deal. They might be able to give you a lead on it, and that's great, but you have to run the numbers. You have to know
Yeah.
if this is the right neighborhood for you, stuff like that. It's up to them to, like you said, get you those comps, get you in the property, write the
Mhm.
contract, and then help with the rest of the stuff after you get something under contract.
Yeah.
So it's really it's the communication, it's the timing, and if they're a good fit, personality wise for you too. And I think it's really almost as simple as that. As far as like resources, you can go to Zillow, you can go to Google and look up reviews, because I think reviews are pretty important nowadays. We're always looking at reviews on different things, whether we're searching for a product in Amazon, we're like, okay, that's got a 4.5 star review. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to go for. So I think reviews are good, and then you can start there and then start to interview agents, ask them questions, ask them things about the market. You get a feel for them, see if they're a good fit for you and your personality and your goals. And then, you can go out and maybe see a house or two and see if it truly is a good fit. And
Yeah.
as long as you're not signing a buyer agency agreement right off the bat, if things are not the best, you can go work with another agent, something like that.
Yeah.
So
How
um,
many people would you interview, would you say?
I would say a minimum of 3.
Okay.
And I'd start with probably looking at reviews, or if you know people in the area, ask for referrals. That's always a good place to start. But a word of caution with referrals is always do your due diligence, because don't take a referral at face value, because um, that I think can blindside a lot of people
That
to
doesn't work.
some negative things about
Mhm.
that person potentially, because that's happened to me before, where I've asked for referrals. I just kind of trust the referral source. I'm like, okay, this person's going to be great, and then it ends up being a disaster. So make sure that if you're getting referrals, you still have to go through the same due diligence process. So yeah, reviews, referrals, and then get on the phone, or start communicating with them in some way, and just see if it looks like they're a good fit. Get to know them a little bit. They should be happy to meet with you at least once, whether it's a consultation or they meet you at a property, show your property, you talk to them, get to know them a little bit. And then I feel like you just kind of have to use your intuition at that point. Is this the right fit for me? If it's not a home run, if it doesn't feel like a great fit, then move on to the next one and interview at least a couple. And maybe it takes 4 or 5, I don't know, or maybe it's the first one that works out really well. So it just depends on your circumstances in the market. But um, don't ever just call up. So I've seen people make this mistake where, let's just say they go on Zillow or realtor.com or something like that, and they like click on, schedule a showing. That realtor, contacts them, they do schedule a showing, and they end up writing a contract. It's like, that's like the worst thing you could possibly do. You have no idea how good this realtor is,
Yeah.
if they know what they're doing, if they've even written a contract before, if they
Mhm.
know how the process works. Like, you just don't know anything about them. So make sure that you, I mean, this is a huge financial purchase. Like,
Yeah.
and yet a lot of people do exactly that. Like,
Mhm.
I knew someone recently who, they just clicked on Zillow or whatever. They went and they saw a house and they wrote a contract, and then they called me and they were like, uh, hey, what about this thing? And I'm like, well, how did you find this realtor? Like, why didn't you call me to ask for a referral? Or, like, and it's like,
Right.
people just don't think that way. It's just kind of like this buyer's mentality of, well, I just click on this and then I go see the house and yada, yada, yada. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I own a house and I don't know how this happened. Um, so, but it's such a big financial decision. I think people need to take a little more time, especially investors, take a little bit more time. A great resource, to speak of, another resource would be, Bigger Pockets. You could
Mhm.
reach out to people on there, because typically they are going to be the investor friendly. At least they're in the space. They probably know a thing or two. The only word of caution there is, if they're in your area, they probably have a network of other investors and they're probably an investor themselves. Ask yourself the question, like, are they cherry picking deals before they're coming to
Yeah.
me? Are they giving deals to other investors that they know are like, they're cash buyers that are going to close in 14 days? Um, so I'd almost rather work with someone who's not, quote unquote, investor friendly. I just want a good agent who's good at their job, who communicates well,
Mhm.
communicates in the way that you want to communicate, whether it's email, phone, or text, and gets you in the properties as quickly as possible and writes up those contracts.
Yeah.
Having a good knowledge of the market is obviously very important too, because they're going to know, like, okay, if you come 5% under, you're not going to get this deal.
Mhm.
So if you know that going into it, that saves you a lot of time and headache. So all those things kind of combined will help you find the right agent.
Yeah. And for you, because you're doing out of state stuff, in your order of kind of your core 4, what David Green talks about, bigger pockets, would the realtor be your first stop for you, or would you?
Honestly, out of state, the first stop is the property manager, and the
Okay.
property manager is going to be licensed. So a lot of times they can take care of a purchase or a disposition.
Mhm.
Um, if they want to focus more on property management, that's fine. But of course, they're going to know a lot of realtors. So my first stop, out of state, property manager, because obviously I'm not managing the property.
Yeah.
So the first step is property manager. And then if we need a realtor, that would be the next stage.
Got it.
but they're going to provide hopefully a decent referral. So vet the property manager first, then you can do your due diligence on realtors.
Sure. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for this episode. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.